Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News is an offering of the Compliance Podcast Network. July 25, 2019, the video killed the radio star edition. First up, Facebook announced today it was agreeing to the $5 billion plus fine from the FTC and another $100 million from the Securities and Exchange Commission. But most interestingly, under the agreement, the FTC mandated that the Silicon Valley company add new positions and practices to increase the transparency and accountability of how it treated people's information. The privacy measures drew sharp criticism for not going far enough, but both Republican and Democratic lawmakers pillared the settlement as a drop in the bucket and said that the FTC had failed to limit the core practice. But having a compliance program mandated is certainly a first step going forward. Next up, from the Risk and Compliance Journal over at the Wall Street Journal, the UK's Serious Fraud Office has opened a probe into a bank note producer. The anti-fraud watchdog has opened an investigation into De La Rue PLC, which is based outside of London. It's a company that's printed banknotes since 1860, but has recently shifted its focus to other lines of business, including the production of identity documents. Currency services still account for 77% of the company's revenue, and the possible corruption is in that well-known corruption hub of South Sudan. We welcome a new reporting service to the Daily Compliance News, the Kurdistan 24 English version. And it reports that the Iraqi government has issued arrest warrants for 11 ministers, officials in the government suspected of corruption. Endemic corruption has been endemic to Iraq for a long time, certainly under the Saddam Hussein regime, and certainly since the U.S. invaded. But they've never been able to really tackle it. The successive governments have not been able to put an end to it. The current government, who ran on a reformist platform, continues to struggle. Here in the United States, we saw the Technique FMC FCPA settlement talk about FMC's corrupt actions in Iraq. And of course, the 2018 Corruption Perception Index ranks Iraq 168th, or the 12th most corrupt country out of 180 in the world. And then finally, remember the old MTV video, that video killed a radio star? Well, it seems like that song may have a second life, as not only has the Trump administration opened an antitrust investigation into Amazon, but now we have the Secretary of Treasury saying that Amazon has, quote, destroyed, end quote, retail and must be scrutinized. So just think about that, boys and girls, the anomaly of a Republican administration criticizing a U.S. company for not only being technically innovative, but actually being successful. Although it might not be surprising that this administration has brought this federal government bear down on Amazon, given the president's seemingly unremitting attacks on Jeff Bezos because he owns the Washington Post. So I guess the question would be, is the government now anti-commerce, anti-innovation, and anti-everything that every other American administration has stood for? Certainly, they appear to be there for the use of the federal government to go after the political opponents of Donald Trump. To say that Amazon has killed retail is just beyond inane, and even for Stephen Mnuchin, it's probably hard to believe. Premiering a new podcast today on the Compliance Podcast Network, Accountability, the Heart of Compliance with Sam Silverstein. Check it out. I know you'll enjoy it. Thanks again for listening. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio.